No, I'm busy tonight, actually.
Hey, welcome to the Jerry Hotpants Club podcast.
Hello.
I'm Flower Dick Pete. With me is Creatine Craves. Look at them fucking things. In the background,
Yusafo Schizo Extraordinaire.
he looks like a white tube of toothpaste that somebody squeezed a little too hard.
The top looks good.
Yeah, the tippity tap.
The tip. Just the tip.
Just the tip.
That's what she said.
Oh, boy. So today, folks, we're going to talk about the police department.
Can we also say that we have absolutely no script, no notes, first take? We have absolutely no clue what we're about to say before we go on and do any of this.
That's the way we've
That's
been doing
usually
it.
how we do it.
Yeah. People seem to like it for whatever reason. You got to let go, man.
It's good to
you
be
gotta let
authentic.
go.
Fuck it.
People love improv. They
We're
do. They just
authentic,
need to
bro.
know it.
This is the real deal, Holyfield, baby.
Yeah. So, today we're talking about the police.
Not just the police department. Let's make sure we're talking about the criminal justice system and maybe some things that could be done a little better, different, or not at all.
But we're going to specifically talk about the police department. And, well, not specifically, not just, but big topic of conversation. For lack of a better term, the defund the police department movement that kind of cropped up a couple years ago does not mean to take money away and not provide emergency services. It means that we do not need basically militarized police forces run by the government in our cities, because what really happens is doesn't matter. Let's not even talk about racial profiling. I can't attest to that. I've never had it happen to me.
Shit, I get pulled over for listening to rap music all the time, bro. What you talking about?
I got pulled over by a state police cop last summer simply because he knew me as somebody that once did heroin. He pulled me over at 2 o'clock.
Pops up on the computer.
Where are you going?
When they run your tags, it'll like pop up as like known drug dealer, known heroin addict, like big yellow letters on the computer.
Well, luckily it wasn't my plate, you know. So, anyway. Hi, Chris.
I'd like to talk about the word militarized.
Yes.
So the mainstream media and its followers like to use the word militarized basically in terms of MRAPs. So MRAPs are the big anti-mine vehicles that it's extra. So the surplus military equipment that's not being used or is out of date gets shuffled down to the cops. And you can see this primarily with the MRAP vehicle. The local police department has one.
Yes,
and
we do.
It was brown, and now it's painted the sheriff's colors. That's not militarization. That's just being
no, because
handed
they use that. I think
they use it for standoffs, so it's bulletproof. So if they had to go rescue someone in a flood,
which they did with that during the
Right.
when Sanford Lake the dam burst.
yeah, or
They
if
sent
they
it over
have, or if they have shootouts, they can open the doors and move forward behind cover. That's not militarization. What the militarization I have a problem with is guys that come home from the wars and then treat citizens like they're combatants of war, like they don't have rights, and maybe aggressively violent with them, trample all over their Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, guilty till proven innocent, and basically act like a thug for the prosecutor rather than serve and protect. And also, recent Supreme Court cases have said that police don't have any duty to actually protect you. So I'm not sure why we still have government police.
Okay, so that brings up a
Public employee police.
You bring up something about being thugs for the prosecuting attorney.
Yes.
Right? And that, moreover, how many times have convictions been overturned because the police aggressively sought a suspect simply because it's got to be this guy or this girl, it's got to be them. Very waning evidence points in their direction, and then years later convictions get overturned because They coerce confessions out of them. And how many times have prosecutors sat up and gone back into court? And this is years after a conviction, right? They go in there and they say, hey, we have this DNA evidence that proves that our client is innocent. We want to take this to retrial. We want to appeal this verdict. And the judge and the prosecutor will always say, denied, 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 or they'll fight tooth and nail to keep their conviction rates.
Yeah, it's almost like a game, like the TV, like, oh, I'm 100, no, like,
yeah,
it's not the way it should be. It should be like
justice should be served,
right. And justice should also take into account how you're affecting the community and the lives around you. I don't think a felony record was meant to be a life sentence for people, and I think it was pay your debt to society, then re-enter society and be able to be employed, vote, have your guns, be back to just like you were before you were incarcerated. And a felony record's a life sentence. You will never get a good W-2 job with a felony record ever. You'll never you can't have your guns typically. In some states you can't vote. And I don't see that in the Constitution. I don't see where it says you made a mistake and it's a life sentence. Capital punishment's illegal in the state of Michigan, and I feel like felony record's capital punishment because it's taking away your right to provide for your family.
It is. It's wild. It's very difficult for me to find a job because on paper I'm a drug dealing money thief, right?
Right.
And because of that, because of those charges, and I'm fortunate for the job that I do have. I don't want to say, oh, poor me. I made those mistakes, and I should, and I have worked on repaying my debt to society. I've had restitution to pay. I've done jail time. I've also, through the process of taking a very intensive court-ordered program, been given the tools to turn my life around.
Right.
And I'm grateful for that opportunity. Like, drug court was the best thing to happen to me when I stopped looking at it as a punishment and honestly saw it as a gift. It's one of the few court programs, but in it still, there's almost this... built-in default for failure.
Yeah.
Like there's the criminal justice system is about punitive. It is not about rehabilitation.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big problem. That there's no correction. There's no Department of Corrections. It's Department of Warehousing.
Yeah, and punishment. Yes.
They're just throwing you in a warehouse and collecting. It's like every prisoner in Michigan's worth like $40,000 a year. Just like count day in school, where the school gets a certain dollar figure for every student they have out of the state budget. Yep. The MDOC, Michigan Department of Corrections, gets a dollar figure for every incarcerated person they have on count day, and it's like sometime in October. I think in California it's like $60,000.
Yes, it is.
And let me tell you, it don't cost no $60,000. They give you some white T-shirts, and you're paying for phone calls. And you get some.
You don't get white T-shirts here. You don't get white T-shirts here. And the other part of this is
fuck you, Securus.
When yes, God, you know what? I hear that music in my sleep, and it makes me wake up with a fuck, just sweaty and tingling.
Wake up, there's a toilet with a drinking fountain in the corner, and you're like, no.
Towel over the door.
Those things cost $3,000. Those toilets with the drinking fountain building are $3,000 if you buy them.
Yeah, they cost $3,000 then, and we're still paying $3,000 for that fucking toilet all these years later, and that And let's talk about that for a minute. My experience, I haven't been to prison, but I've been to jail for a long period of time. Okay, so you get enough calories to not die every day.
Right.
You get the bare minimum nutrients to not die.
Right.
That's it. You are housed in a manner of,
it's hot.
Or cold, right?
Yeah.
Like in the wintertime, and I'm going to, I don't give a fuck if this gets me in trouble, but up here at the Bay County Motel, in the wintertime, they don't keep the thermostat above like 59, 62, because if they turn the heat on, it gets so hot, it gets to be about 100 degrees in there. They have an antiquated, outdated system, boiler system in there where it just fucking, everybody's sick, and now you're in jail, right? So everybody in the block gets sick, and it just goes around and around and around and around. And I'm surprised that the common flu has not mutated into fucking super AIDS in there. I mean it. And so, I
got parvo in jail.
Oh.
There's a human version of parvo.
What?
It's called slap face. You usually get it when you're like 3. It's just a fever of 101.3 and a red cheek. But if you don't get it when you're a pediatric disease, you get it as an adult. Like chickenpox, it can be like, it's way worse. I thought I was going to die. They were like, we have no idea what's wrong with you. Took me to the hospital. I thought I was going to die. And they just quarantined me.
Yeah, and they don't care.
No, they don't care at all. They threw me in the hole. They thought I was faking.
Yeah.
And someone from high school that worked there came and they're like, Chris, you're really sick, aren't you? I'm like, yes. Like, took me to the hospital.
Like I kited for ibuprofen for 4 straight days.
Yeah.
And I think it was part of, because I went in and I said, they asked me, are you withdrawing from anything? I was like, no, I don't do drugs. My arms are just beat to shit.
God.
And because, if you're withdrawing, they make you sit in the bubble or across from the bubble under 24-hour lights,
Yeah.
When you're going through withdrawal, that's the last thing you want to do. No, I'm good. So I'm upstairs, and some ibuprofen would help. I don't need constant monitoring. I don't need a gallon of fucking that Gatorade flavored shit. I just need to be left alone. Leave me the fuck alone. Let me sleep for a couple of days, and then I'll be back at him. I'll be a model fucking inmate.
Mm-hmm.
So on the 3rd or 4th day after being out of it, did you need some ibuprofen? Like real snide-like, Fuck you. They know what they're doing. And again, it's punitive. I'm in there on a drug charge. I didn't beat up anybody. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't steal anything. I didn't rape anybody. But I'm public enemy number 1 because I do dope, right? And
you were in there talking shit, though. They probably hated you.
Yeah, they did. No, I actually, for the most part, the very first day I was in there on my last charge, this fucking 19-year-old kid, he'd be, a little bit taller than me. I went into my bunk, and I was standing in there getting ready to go on the top bunk, because it was the only one left, so my fat ass had to crawl up there.
Ugh.
And this motherfucker
should have just deboed his ass. Like, listen, little dog.
No, he was a whole nother bunk, right?
Yeah.
And I was standing by the door, and I turned around, and he fucking blasted me right in the face. He's like, "Good, get on the button. Get on the button." I'm like, "For what?" "Get on the button." And I looked at him, right?
What, he punched you?
Yeah, he wanted to get thrown in the hole because he owed everybody his lunch trays, right?
Okay.
He was trying to get in the hole, so I was getting ready to, listen, I'm shocked at this point. Like, what the fuck? And as I'm getting ready to say or do anything at all, this other guy grabs him and he fucking throws him in the other bunk. He's like, "Nuh-uh, nope. Sit your fucking say in here and oh shit." Anyway, whatever. That's jail talk. You're gonna sit in here and you're gonna pay off that fucking debt, right?
One way or another.
And so he was in there another 2 or 3 days. He kept trying to start shit with people. He kept trying to fight people.
Yeah.
To get out of there. And that's just like the atmosphere. And that's just county jail, right? That's nothing. That really is nothing.
Yeah.
But that's the atmosphere in there, right?
Right.
You're awful quiet over there. What are you doing over there? You haven't not put your phone down.
My experience at the Bay County was 5 stars compared to anywhere else I've been. Bay County was a walk in the park. God bless them. They fed me. I was the happiest I've ever been. And then and the kite thing, they do know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah. So what I did is I kept applying to be a trustee.
Yes.
And I know for a fact they were throwing my kites away, so I took the Monopoly boards and I drew trust. Last time I was there was 2016, and I drew El Ghul for trustee 2016, and I put it on the boards, and I put them right in front of the cameras because I knew they'd come and fuck with me for being in front of the cameras. So then the sergeant that was on duty, he said, "I've never seen anybody do that. You got the job." And then I was living good, bro.
This motherfucker.
Because I was like, every day I'm like, man, he's throwing my shit in the trash. I know he is. I could feel it in my dick. A motherfucker.
I could feel it in my dick, he says.
That's one.
Okay, yeah, we're going to start keeping a tally of how many times Yusuf refers to our dicks or his.
I was in jail once, and somebody did something. I don't remember what happened. They were, shitting with a sheet up or something, and you can't, hang a sheet up or something.
Yeah.
And, he got yelled at for it, and, they came back and they wrote me a ticket. And I was like, what are you talking? I was just sitting there watching 2.5 Men. I remember they were gave me the ticket. I was like, what are you talking about? They were like, and it like screwed up so that I couldn't have a visit with my son.
Oh.
And he was under, you couldn't see kids under like 12 or 14 or something. But you could if you had special permission. And it made it so I couldn't see my son. And I was like, dude, and I like fought it. And the guy was like, you're lying. It was you. And I'm like, dude, fuck you. And that is the problem with policing. That is the problem. They have way too much power, and there's no third-party independent fact check on what they're doing. There needs to be a fourth branch of government. There needs to be a fourth branch of government called, get this, the people, that need to supervise what's going on in the legislative, executive, and judicial branch and make sure that these people aren't just doing whatever the hell they want to do.
There's a slippery slope in that because...
Well, it's called voting, but if the voting system's rigged, then you're screwed too.
Both sides can claim it. It does. I'm not going to get into that. What I'm saying is when the government started, it was of the people, by the people, for the people.
Right, and the government signed the contract that they would follow these rules.
Yeah, and then look at how it progressed over
and now
250
government's
years.
so big, it's hard to determine which Democratic president's the worst. Probably FDR, but I mean, there's a lot. Pretty much every single one's just been terrible. They had to make new laws.
About Roosevelt?
Yeah,
He's the worst?
maybe. Yeah, probably
Okay, and what did he do that was so bad?
everything. They had to adjust the Constitution to kick him out of office.
Really?
Yeah, because he was served 4 terms.
He died while in office. You fucking
They had
idiot.
to change
Jesus.
They had to change the fucking laws so he wouldn't fucking stay in there forever.
No shit.
He
didn't know that.
died while he was in office.
They changed the Constitution.
After he died.
They also changed the Constitution. You know, second place, highest votes used to be vice president. So, like right now, yeah,
What?
when the original Constitution is whoever got the most votes would be president, and then second most. So it would have been like 2016. It would have been Trump, and then Clinton. They changed it.
Holy shit, that would have been some banana shit.
So my whole thing with how the criminal justice system works is it's too big, it's too corrupt. It has to be torn down just like the rest of the government-run monopolies. You cannot have government-run monopolies. Not only do they have a monopoly on the justice system, they have a monopoly on violence. So how they enforce all their rules, right, is through violence. So even in civil court, say civil court has some, well, how are you going to, civil court doesn't, I'll just do whatever I want. They're going to send armed thugs to your door to violate your rights. They're going to send, and the police will follow those orders blindly. Some police won't. Now, some sheriffs around the country have talked about, we won't if they try to infringe on Second Amendment rights, we're not going to follow these orders. Red flag laws, we're not going to follow these orders, and kudos to them. Just there's going to be a bunch of them in some of the more democratic run areas that will follow these orders blindly up to the point of killing children is what a lot of us have been saying they will do. They will do this. They will follow orders blindly up to the point of murdering children because that's their job. If that's their job, they will follow those orders. That is the problem that we need to address. And the way to address it is to defund the police, build back better with just essential workers. But I wouldn't build back as public employees. I wouldn't have any public employees if I can avoid it.
Build back better, isn't that what they've been talking about in the news?
Right, but I'm using it in jest to say that that's how I would fix the problem of the government being too big. I would build it back
so
better
you're not
with just
talking about
essential workers.
using their method of build back better.
No, I'm talking about doing exactly what they did to us, and I've said this before on this podcast, exactly what they did to us during the pandemic, how they shut everything down and then just let essential workers work. I would do that to the government. So I would shut down every single government employee in the entire country for like a moment, right? Every single public employee would not have a job. Who's
allowed to say who's an essential worker, though?
Well, the people will. And what we're going to do is we're going to build back better with just essential workers.
How are you going to accomplish this in probably the most divided time in the country's history?
Well,
besides the Civil War,
we're going to fire every public employee and then see who we need first. So we're probably going to get phone calls for fire. We're probably going to get phone calls for EMS.
So, but you're not talking
EMS,
about.
fire,
you're just talking about
police.
Government.
I'm talking about I'm talking about school teachers and cops. I'm talking about in those two because they are part of a public sector union, need to be addressed first. So they have a public sector labor union. The police are part of a union that bad cops keep their job because they're part of a labor union. Bad teachers keep their job because they're part of a labor union. They follow a corrupt and, from the Department of Education and from these bad laws coming down from these terrible legislators, they enforce these bad laws and teach these bad curriculums. We need to shut all that down. It's too big. It's too corrupt. It's too all-encompassing. We can't fight it. The only way to get rid of this and have our freedom is to defund the whole thing and then build back better with just essential workers. And how we would do that is we would see who the people need first once there are no public employees. Within an hour, we're going to get phone calls for police, fire, and EMS. So we're going to need some of them. But they don't need to be public employees. They can be private employees. They don't have to be public employees. The problems of them being private employees are preferable to the problems of them being public employees, because them being public employees gives them free reign to do whatever they want. It makes them... And this will sound like a strange argument, but it makes them sovereign citizens and they can do whatever they want, where they will destroy you and say you have to follow the law. They don't. They can do whatever they want. They can have all these gray areas. They can just make up shit. They can say, oh, no, I didn't do that. Oh, the body cam was turned off. And now they're using the body cams against you. So there's a lot of things that used to be sounded like a good idea for policing and have become so corrupt that they need to be taken. They need to be a long, hard look taken at them, and a bunch of them need to be thrown out. Some of those things are the court-appointed attorney. The court-appointed attorney is a scam. They work for the court. They do not work for you. They need the how you get all your paperwork in legalese, and you can't understand it, and they say you can't do it yourself. You have to have a lawyer. That's a fucking scam. Miranda rights, anything that you can and say, anything you say can and will be used against you. It's fucking scam. So, body cams are being used against you. You're intoxicated. You're at the worst point in your entire life, and now you're being recorded. There needs to be, my idea is to have a fourth branch of government called the people. And what I would do is every time there's a 911 call and police, fire, EMS is sent to a scene, the court-appointed attorneys, they wouldn't be court-appointed attorneys anymore. They would be private. There would be some kind of private, maybe pro bono attorneys that would help you. There has to be a lawyer sent to each 911 call. So every 911 call, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a lawyer. It could be a paralegal, but the individual, the defendant, the person that's getting arrested, needs to have an advocate on scene for every single call that comes in. Every single one. I don't care how we pay for it. I don't care if it's public money. I do care if it's public money, but if we are going to spend public money on cops, we need to spend public money on the people too. So there needs to be an advocate for the accused at the scene, because there's a gang of people that are coming to get this person who's at the worst point of their life, and they're acting like they work for the prosecutor when they don't. They just really work for that person that's getting arrested, but they're acting like they work for the prosecutor. So they're trying to get admissions of guilt. They're trying to slip you up. They're trying to ask you 10 different ways, the same question and shit. And you're scared. You're going to jail. You know what I'm saying? Your kid just got taken away from you. There's all these people, lights and shit. You're embarrassed. It's so far gone from what good policing should be. And then they try to get you on, everything they possibly can. So they overcharge you. Then you go see the prosecutor, and the prosecutor is like, okay, well, I'll throw this out. And you're like, I didn't even do that shit. And they're like, well, plead to this. Well, I didn't do that either. Well, we're going to throw this out so that you only didn't. And then they got you in jail, and you can't afford to get out, so you can't make bond. Then by the time you get in front of the judge has it looks like you're guilty. The judges are so jaded that 90% of what comes across their desk, they're just like, yeah, you probably did that shit. You know what I'm saying? And Pete and I were talking the other day. I think the 911 system needs to be looked at. So the 911 system has been corrupted, and you can see that in like swatting. Has anyone heard of swatting? Swatting. So swatting is when there's a live stream going on, say on Twitch, and then somebody who doesn't like that person finds their address, calls 911 and says there's been a murder at that scene.
No shit, that's what that is.
And then the SWAT team comes while the person's playing video games, kicks in the door, comes in, and they're guilty of anchor bias at this time because they just believe the 911 call off that it's true, and they come in ready to shoot somebody with a rifle and kill the kid on live stream. And this happens all the time. They did it to Tim Pool
I've been
like
wondering
12 times
what that
in the
is.
last couple of months. They just did it to the quartering, and you can't just. And we talked about the other day that these people when they call in, whoever calls the cops first usually wins, and the other person gets arrested because the police have anchor bias, and they're like, I know 2 people right now where the couple has been fighting. He's been beating her ass, over the years and shit. And she finally got sick of it and was like gonna call the cops. And he called the cops first and got a restraining order on her before she could get one on him. And he's been beating her ass for years, but he's got a restraining order on her and kicks her out of the house. I mean, the whole thing's broken. It's too anonymous. The police get away with, just writing a police report and not really doing any work. There needs to be a fourth branch of government. There needs to be an advocate for the accused on site at every single call. It would do a lot. They've talked about not having police reporting to every call. I mean, we don't have police go to every call. We have EMS and fire go. Just there needs to be more to help the people rather than help the state. What do you think, Pete?
I've been wondering for like the last month about that swatting thing. I'm so glad that actually. I'm glad that got answered.
You had an experience with a 911 call the other day, right, Pete? You talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah. What I've always believed wholeheartedly is that once you are in the system, you're in the system. Once you run afoul of the law, your name is, synonymous in your area for whatever reason. Today, for the most part, when I run into cops, they don't treat me like they did before because they're aware of my work. They know that I work with people in recovery. I don't have violent charges in my past. I don't have any R&Os or fleeing and eluding, any of that stuff. I'm not known for, stealing cars. It's drugs. It's been drugs. One of the most punished crimes in this country, being a drug addict. It's a crime to be a drug addict. So initially you're viewed as this person that will always be that, and that stigma will follow me the rest of my life, and there's nothing I can do about that. However, it's still, like I had mentioned earlier when I got pulled over because the guy recognized me, that's me being profiled, as being a drug addict. When the cops, in any situation, from being dragged out of my car in an arm lock at the drive-thru at McDonald's on Washington to being tased midair at Huntington Apartments, It's always been the same thing every time. They had an assumption, like you said, based on a 911 call of what was going on. They didn't have any facts, but I was treated as though I was guilty immediately. The last time I went in front of a judge for arraignment was 2017. As I'm sitting there, I was kind of still unaware of what my charges were. So as I go up to the camera in the jail, people of the state of Michigan versus Peter Soha, count blah, 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 for delivery and manufacturing. And I'm like, whoa, what? Because the charges on the computer said possession, double enhancement. So it'd be my second felony, which means I'm looking at a 40-year sentence, max. You know.
Yeah, that's all bullshit.
It is, but it terrifies you when you're fucking when you're doing dope. It terrifies the fuck out of you. Now, I go in front of him, and there's this long pause, and he's reading the police report. He's reading the police report, not a pre-sentence investigation, which is also horseshit. He's reading the police report, and he says, "Well, from the looks of this, you're going to be found guilty. So I'm going to set your bond at $25,000." And I said, "Excuse me, what happened to due process or, trial by a jury of my peers? You're the one that's going to find me guilty right now?" He's like, "Oh, you want to keep talking?" I'm like, "Yeah. Why don't you might as well make my bond $35,000? How about 50?"
They have attitudes. Yeah, it's a problem.
And
it's a problem.
It is. Now the issue has been and will always be, once an addict, always an addict. So let's say you go in there on a DUI. Once a drunk, always a drunk. Let's say you are tired of somebody picking a fight with you. Your neighbor, right? Your neighbor comes up to you and is one of them gaslighters that's always putting the phone in your face. Do something, do something, do something. And you smack the phone out of their hand, right? You can go to prison for that.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's a huge one.
They keep getting people that
tampering with an electronic device.
I know people who have domestics. They get
DVs for that.
Yeah, they get domestics. It drops to domestic, but it's like a felony. That's a felony, and they'll drop it to the domestic usually.
And let's not even bring up the fact that I'm on drug court with people, right, who
the phone will be fine too.
It
could be his
crimes.
phone that she's using, and if you,
I was on drug court with people who had way worse charges than I did, and they were able to get them reduced to misdemeanors because my charge involved fentanyl. The prosecutor would not budge. I had to complete drug court and keep a felony. There was no reduction in sentence. There were motherfuckers in there for breaking and entering and home invasions and fucking, Grand Theft Auto, shit like that. Me? Who? Nope.
The criminal justice system disproportionately affects the poor, the young, the mentally challenged, the mentally sick. It's the people who really need help, and they're just getting beaten down by this omnipresent devil that you can't escape, because everywhere you go they're just telling you you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty, and it's evil, and it's full of lies too. They're lying.
There's people that we know, they get the cops called on them because let's say they're arguing with their significant other, and they say something like, "I'm going to go kill myself." Then people say things in the heat of the moment they don't mean. Well, now the cops are called. Okay. The cops show up. That's a mandatory 72-hour hold at mental health, right?
Yeah.
Now the courts are involved in your mental health, and getting them out of your mental health is one of the most difficult processes in this country.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, those red flag laws. Once they put you on a red flag, how would you get off? It would be crazy. It'd be crazy.
What? Is that why you put that picture in the group chat?
Oh, I don't know. It was just a red flag meme. It was funny.
Oh.
What's red flag law?
I would just call and say, Yusuf said he was going to kill somebody with a gun, and they'd come to your house and take your guns.
Yep.
They would have an ex parte due process hearing, apparently after the fact. I think
after the fact.
So they take your guns. They take your guns, and they'd have a court case without you there to say why they took your guns, and the judge would just rubber stamp it over and over. They would do it.
Oh my God!
It'd be wild.
So when you look at other countries, right, where
it'd be illegal, it could be treason to do something like that. Could be treason.
We have a bigger prison population than anywhere on earth.
I think North Korea is bigger, but
no,
it's North Korea.
And that's what I'm talking about. Okay,
we are a big country.
We're a big country with
a broken prison system. That's a government-run monopoly. The problem is
for profit.
It's a government-run monopoly.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a government-run monopoly.
These are private sector prisons that are owned and operated by people for profit.
All the employees are public. All the employees are public. What are you talking about? There's no private. I think
you mean
private prisons might be preferable to public prisons. I'm not sure, but public prisons are so broken. It's such. I mean, did you see the one in Mississippi a couple years ago that Jay-Z and Prince were trying to fix? Jay Prince were trying to fix. There's videos. There was there was just raw sewage flowing through. They were chasing people down and stabbing them with knives and shit. I mean, they had it all on camera, and they were releasing videos and shit. They were there was riots. I mean, there's people that get stabbed in prison every day. You just don't hear about it because it's in prison. I mean, it's the most violent fucked up place you've ever been. And the prisons, the criminal justice system is so broken. The only thing we can do is defund the entire government. It's how the school system sets you up for failure because you're delayed in making money, and then by the time you don't have any money, it's too late. And then you go on to do whatever you do and then go to prison. It's so broken. The only thing we can do is defund. We have to fire every single public employee and then just hire back ones that we absolutely need. If we even need them. We might be able to do it all privately. Private roads, private cops, private teachers, everything private.
I want
competition.
I want all 4 of our viewers to log on to the interwebs and find out if Christopher and I are eligible to run for president. I am. Are you?
Yeah.
You're
35.
Criminal status?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Does it?
Fuck no.
What do you mean? President. But nobody's going to vote for you when they pull that up.
That's not what we asked.
That's not, yeah.
Okay.
So, okay.
All right,
well,
all right.
So,
You're right.
So then what we're going to do in the near future is we are going to, I'm coming up with this idea as we speak.
Are we going to run for president?
Fuck my life.
Well, I think we ought to at least around the time
Crave Soha?
Soha
Crave. You can be president. I'll be VP. VP's usually fucking the smarter one, really behind the scenes, manipulating everything.
Fuck my life. It was that.
No, we need to get hired on your face like John Kennedy.
It was that. It was that fly that was on Pence's head the one day that was calling all the shots.
That did him in.
They did that to Clinton. There was one
fly?
that landed on Clinton too. Yeah, the pestilence was fucking starting.
So we're gonna do around the.
I don't want to be president, for the record. If I had to do it for a little bit to like save America, like I guess I would, but I don't want that power.
To save America,
Ouch, I guess.
Chris Crave swoops in with his cape and he saves America.
Fucking defunds the government. Fucking just hires back the people we absolutely need.
Mandatory creatine in every cabinet across
God.
America.
It's what plants crave.
I think honestly, we ought to do a mock debate
coming up
for the midterms. We ought to.
They're coming up.
That's what I'm saying. We need to start researching. I think that's going to be an episode in the future where we have a mock debate. But Yusef, you can't be the moderator.
Fuck my life.
Why not?
I could be an amazing moderator.
No, because
we can put him in the disheveled suit and shit.
No, he's going to be the third
drinking
party.
coffee.
He's going to be the third party.
He can be the third party.
The third party.
You're going to be the third party.
Legalize crack.
You know who the you know who we should get to be the moderator.
Who?
Who do you think? Think about it.
Wilson?
No. Actually, he would not be a bad idea because he's very. He can run on both sides of anything.
Yeah, he's got.
Because I said when I said something on the show the other day about you and him having opposite viewpoints, he messaged me right away while watching it. He was like, "That's not true," you know.
I cussed him out right away.
Yeah.
Like, he's a fucking.
Oh, he loves that shit. He loves that shit. It made his. Okay, I'm not gonna.
I mean, I'm down. That sounds good. When would we?
Well, it's in November, so October will be pretty heated.
Yeah,
September, October will start.
We got to take note of that.
Once they'll let summer ride out, and then the kids will go back to school, and then
they're just gonna beat us the fucking death.
Football starts, and then they're like, all right, they're distracted enough with school and fucking football to where we can slip these fucking corrupt bastards right past them.
So we need to get a forum to where we can do this.
We need a podium.
We need two podiums in a hall. We need to. So if you at home are watching this, and we thank you because we don't know why. If you at home are watching this, if you want to be involved, come and see it live. We'll announce a date, and then we'll film it live. Will we film it live or will we tape it?
Are you going to take all leftist points?
Leave it in the comments. Let us know who you would vote for: Team Sosha or Team Crave.
It's
Soha.
Yeah, that's what I said. Team Sosha.
No, I think I'm going to go to the right. I think I'm going to take all right points.
I'll take all left points. It'll be great.
Yeah, we're going to go opposite, and my whole platform is going to be get rid of whatever nationality he is. Just get rid of him. Just fucking get rid of him. If I don't have to deal with Yusef anymore, I'd be happier than a pig in shit. Like, hey, Something started as fun. Oh, fuck. What are you doing this afternoon? I'm going to work. Like, you just left work. The fucking podcast is work. Bro, you sit there. They set everything up. It's because I'm the handsome one, but Yusef's turning it into work. Every time I get there. He wants me to dance naked on the internet and fucking tickle my balls with a feather. I'm not doing your shit. I'm not your fucking pony boy. I'm not jumping through hula hoops with, fucking...
Bro, this will be fun if we could get a live... If we could get people to write questions for it.
I forgot to bring something. I forgot to bring you guys'
robes.
Yeah.
If we could
still on that.
If we could get people to write questions...
Yeah,
people should write like legitimate questions that they would ask to the primary.
If we do like a town hall thing, and be like, "Hey guys, come down." We'll have 5 microphones, 3 for us, 1 for the moderator, 1 for somebody to walk up and be like, "So, Mr. Krabs, is it true that the quickest way to get gains is shoving a whole can of pre-workout up your butthole?"
No, it's Trent. But so listen, we got a few minutes left. Let's get back to what we're talking about here, the criminal justice system. I want to state for the record that we're not anti-police. I am anti-public police. So I don't think that the government should have a monopoly on violence. So how we need to do that is we can't have public sector employees at all, if possible, but definitely public sector unions are a problem too. I'm looking at you, Department of Education, and I'm looking at you, Fraternal Order of Police. Something needs to be done where bad employees can be fired. Something needs to be done where injustices can be justiced, like on the spot. We need to find a way to, and I know, during 2020, there was a big thing about defund the police and reimagine policing and shit. Well, I've reimagined it. And how I've reimagined it is with the Public Defender's Office being a private entity, almost like traveling nurses, so they can't be bought out and get used to being with the local prosecutors. And they would have to show up to every single emergency call. You have to have an advocate there for the accused. You have to. And they need to say, wait, don't say anything. I had a lawyer a long time ago, and his pro bono work was going to one of the drug courts and sitting there. So if a new charge got brought up, he would say, well, that's new. Shh, don't say anything. Just go to jail. You're about to get kicked out of drug court, but we're not going to have you admit guilt here. Like, you need to have somebody on hand, because these people are a lot of times intoxicated, a lot of times mentally ill, young, scared, heart rate's up, been through fights, things like that. They're in a very, very bad place. Now you got them surrounded by people that are telling them they're guilty with guns and, people accusing them of things, and there's lights and there's cameras and shit, and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They don't want to go to jail tonight, so they might say something to try to get out of it, and they just damn themselves. You know what I mean? It's just not fair. It's not fair. The right to remain silent is a big one. Yeah. I've actually been arrested by a police officer because I remained silent. Those were his exact words. If you take that to court, you should be able to get that whole arrest thrown out. That's very, very illegal. You have the right to remain silent. Through your arrest and through your entire trial, you have the right to remain silent. And for someone that works for the government to say you're going to jail because you remain silent, that should cost that person their job. They shouldn't be a cop anymore.
No, but we live in an era where everything can get caught on videotape, right? And it's miraculous how many times phones get broken, or footage is lost, or they accidentally turned off their cameras while beating the fuck out of you. It's a legitimate problem that this country faces when people who don't pass mental health checks become police officers. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about short little fat fuckers trying to run you down, right? Mm. And I don't know how many times I've seen police officers who I know don't pass the mental health check, but never. Let's look at the physical check. That'd be like me putting on a flak jacket, right? Getting ready like I'm about to fucking goose step down fucking Center Avenue, and I'm gonna come and get you, right? I have no business being a police officer. I'm mentally unstable. Don't give me a gun, and then more importantly, don't put me in charge of making a determination on any crime scene whatsoever. It's like you said, these cops show up, and a lot of cops, they get their policing from watching like fucking Law and Order or CSI.
Oh, yeah, where's the semen at?
Yeah.
You gotta send it to the semen DNA test.
Sprinkle some crack on him, Johnson. Let's get out of here. I've seen this one before. Apparently he broke in and hung pictures of himself and his family everywhere.
Oh, he's still here.
Oh, man.
So in retrospect here, we don't hate cops. Not a big fan of them, though.
I don't like government monopolies. The thing that's wrong with America mostly is the government monopolies, tearing apart the nuclear family. The government monopolies should be fostering the nuclear family, but that's just not the case.
So, Yusuf, somebody commented to me that they hadn't seen a picture of you yet. They're kind of new to the whole process.
He's got a podcast where he's on.
I know. They just watching recent episodes. He sounds just like Aziz Ansari. Is that his name?
I sound like Aziz Ansari.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I love him as Tom, so I mean,
and they
I
said
guess
it's hard for them to picture anybody else, but I get him confused with Jeremy.
Oh, I had somebody really wanted to see who you were too, and then when I showed them, they were like, "That is not the face that I thought went with that voice."
Not at all.
Like you're a big letdown, buddy.
Oh, God, you
That's
are
what my
just.
girlfriend says every night.
Oh. Wow.
She doesn't when I come over.
Oh.
All right, so I'll say this though for the cops, man. I've been blessed.
Hold on. If you get through this without talking about dicks or semen, I will give you. What are we going to give him?
He already got the mayonnaise sandwich, right?
Yeah, it wasn't mayonnaise.
I don't know.
What do you want? What do you want?
Some halal meat.
I went and bought today. I spent hella money, so I'm sick a little bit right now after spending all that money to.
And you had to pay for gas to go get it.
And yeah, dude, I'm like, I'm
Why
And
ready.
you get that fucking haircut too, bro. Like,
And the haircut.
You can't get halal meat up here. You got to drive to Detroit for it.
I go to a wholesaler.
I'll sell you some halal meat.
I go to a wholesaler and I talk to the guy and I pick my whatever piece of meat I want. I talk to the butcher. I make him cut out whatever piece I want. I'm like,
Yeah.
that one.
We got good butchers here, but they're just
It's just not halal.
They're
I
Polish.
wish, bro, because I would love to support
Oh,
my
yeah.
community.
Yeah, they beat the fuck
What's
out
wrong
of
with the
them.
Polish? No, shit.
What's wrong with the Polish?
I guess,
City,
okay, yeah,
Bay
yeah.
City
What's wrong
has
with
the
the
best Polish sausages in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, and God, like,
We never did the Polish sausage taste test.
one day. I mean, that we just
hilarious.
talked about that last week only. So just
Yeah, we got to keep it in the forefront.
man,
So,
I
what were
grill
your
it up for
thoughts? No
breakfast.
dicks or semen.
no dicks or semen. All right. So
Kielbasa.
it's been my experience. All right. I've been blessed that almost every cop that I've been involved with was a blessing from God. Almost every cop I've had to deal with. I think I've only had maybe one bad experience where a state police officer. There's a whole situation. I wasn't supposed to be driving. My driver's license was suspended, and he pulled me over on. I was on my way to Saginaw. I was on 675, and he intentionally hit my head on the top of the car.
I had one do that. I had one, watch your head.
Yep. But no, he wasn't. And I had glasses on, all right, as I do right now. And then he broke my glasses and then left me on the side of the highway and took off.
Really?
I couldn't see, and I didn't know where I was. And I had to, like, figure, I'm like, oh, my God.
There's just these horror stories everywhere. I'd like to talk about one in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Officer Rott, if you're listening.
Go fuck yourself.
This guy rides around in Kalamazoo in an all-black cop car with an all-black uniform on with Velcro covering up his badges, and he pulls over 16-year-old girls that are known drug addicts, throws them in the back of his cop car while they're on probation, searches their whole vehicle, and if he doesn't find any drugs, he lets them go. If he does find drugs, the Velcro comes off, he shows his badge, and then you're under arrest. I'm a sheriff. Yeah, he's been doing shit like this for a long, long, long time. I've got a number of stories just about this guy, but I mean, there's just so many of these corrupt stories around the country that it's broken. It's broken.
I know we got
It's
one of those
fucking
guys.
broken.
What's his name?
Like there's just the dozens and dozens and dozens of stories that I can come up with right now. I can think of getting pulled over listening to Kanye West too loud. I remember getting pulled over saying my car smelled like cigarettes and I was just smoking Newports and I had a year clean. I was on my way to celebrate at Red Lobster with a girl back in 2008, and like I mean. There's just so many. So I get pulled over for being white coming out of an all-black neighborhood. They call it reasonable suspicion now, not
One more
not
thing
probable
before
cause.
I forget. Who I don't like, the public defenders.
Yeah.
I hate Manico. He's a waste of breath.
Bruce.
Bruce Manico is a
Let me
waste of
tell you,
space.
I told this story last night. Let me tell you about Bruce. I was in jail in 2016 on a violation of probation charge at the tail end of my probation for my first felony, okay? I've been on probation for that fucking charge for 3 years. All right, long story short, I'm in there for months, okay? He shows up. It's 20 minutes to go before court. I'm going to find out whether or not I'm going home that day, okay? I've been in this whole time. I haven't seen that motherfucker one time. He sits down, opens up the fucking manila envelope, and he goes, oh, jeez. Boy, these charges on the traffic violations are from fucking 5, 6, 12 years ago. Wow, what's going on here? Bruce, I'm hearing a violation of probation for felony embezzlement. I don't see that in here anywhere. You got the wrong fucking paperwork? Yeah, well, yeah, I do. We're going to court in 10 fucking minutes. Go get the right paperwork. We go to court, and he says, Your Honor, I'm not prepared today. We're going to have to postpone. What?
You're sitting in jail.
Yeah.
I'll say that they are overworked, but I remember in my situation.
No.
You don't think so?
It does.
The court just moves so slow. It's ridiculous.
They are overworked. They'll get that. But here's the thing.
No, they don't work hard at all. The courts don't work hard at all. They don't do shit. They sit on their ass. They don't open your file till the day of court, maybe the day before. They don't do shit. They're lazy as fuck. Prosecutors and judges are lazy as shit. Everything revolves around them. They all need to be fired immediately.
Well, so in closing, oh man, I got this pair. Gonna blow some sick clouds. Tastes like Red Bull. So
I got a trial next week. Let's not put this out till after that.
Good vibes.
Okay.
Lord have mercy.
If any cops or prosecutors start watching our show, then I'm going into hiding. So, Chris, parting words.
I'll stand on everything I said today.
Okay.
All right.
Usuf.
God bless the men in blue. I'll say that. I've been in places where I've been into fist fights in the street where you can have weapons, and I look over to the cop to come and help me, and he's not going to get involved in it. So
the cops are needed, especially for women and children. Women and children need something. They don't need to be public sector police. They could be private police.
It's just because in my experience, like I've been blessed that any cop I was involved with was like sent from God and was there and has helped me out.
Remember, the Supreme Court has ruled twice that police do not need to help you.
They don't, huh?
They don't need to help you.
So I was just blessed with good people.
Forget that protect and serve bullshit.
Yeah, huh? That's
so we appreciate you tuning in on your Monday morning. We'll be back this Wednesday and Thursday, God willing. One last thing I got to say before we skedaddle is we appreciate you guys that tune in religiously. We'd really like it if you hit that share,
like, subscribe, share, comment,
get us out there.
Come on the show. Give us something you can talk about for 45 minutes. We'll put you on.
Right here. You can come all over the show.
Right here.
There you go. He did it again. You always go to the worst fucking place that can be.
Is tomorrow Father's Day?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, tomorrow is Father's Day.
Well, when you're watching the show, it was yesterday. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, especially my dad.
To all the children,
as much as he drives me nuts,
all the illegitimate children that Pete has out there.
For all you guys that went out to find some milk and never came back, I hope that milk's gone bad.
I thought it was lottery tickets.
Lottery tickets?
Or was
milk,
it
cigarettes? You name it.
Whatever.
You know what I went out to get? Bucket of KFC.
This guy, crack me up, you motherfucker, you cocksucker. Okay.
All right, you racist bastard. All right. Have a good Monday.
Deuces.
No, I'm busy tonight, actually.